Hello friends, my name's Heather. Welcome back to another bookish video in which we talk about some of my reading plans for the rest of the year. I am behind on my Goodreads challenge. I'm doing a couple of things to help aid in that. I've read 61 books out of 75 at the time of filming this, which is November the 26th, which means I have some work to do, but no fear. These are the 10 priority reads that I have for the rest of the year. I'm currently listening to some novellas to kind of help with some of the other spaces that need to be filled, but nevertheless, let's talk about my 10 before the end. The 10 books I would like to read before midnight on, the eve of 2025. I don't know if I said that right. Anyway, moving on. The first book is this Christmas book, which is called How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. This is my teacher book club pick, so obviously I need to get to it. You can see I have already started it, and I have quite a ways to go. This is a chunky romance Christmas book. What are you doing, Megan Quinn? We have things to do with our lives. Just kidding. It's cute so far. This is a book for if you like the plot of The Grinch, but you want a rom-com, because that is 100% what this is. This book is set in the most Christmassy town in all of America, and it follows our main character's story, who has come to this Colorado town to take care of her aunt who has fallen and broken her hip. Our other main character's name is Cole, and he is really grumpy, and there is a competition in Kringletown to see who has the most Christmas spirit. Normally, Story's Aunt Cindy is the one who participates in this competition, but she is down for the count this year, so she gets Story to sign up. And then Cole is like, no, I don't want someone who's not a local to be participating, so I'm going to sign up and I'm going to win it all. And I mean, his best friend's name is Max. They have neighbors named Martha and May. It's very much The Grinch, just in rom-com form. I also hear that this book is a little bit spicy. If you follow the author on TikTok, you might know what I'm talking about, but I have not reached any of those scenes yet. This book also has illustrations, which is fun to flip through and, see. So here's book number 1. Book number 2. This is my December book club pick over on Patreon, and that is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Long. This author also wrote The Sword of Kaigan, which I haven't read yet, but if I like this book, I will 100% go back and read that book. What I know about this book is not much, but I know it's dark academia. I know several people who I know and trust have loved this book. And I know that it follows the first female scholar that gets admitted to this school and kind of the adversity and challenges that she faces. There are some content warnings that come with this book, but I'm excited to try fantasy that is a little bit different than what I normally read. It's a gorgeous book. It was indie published for a while, and this is the traditionally published version, and I cannot wait to read this one for a dark, moody time. Book number 3 is The Teller of Small Fortunes. I am reading this with my friend at Kindle over on her book club, and I actually get to help co-host the live discussion, which I'm very excited about. But this is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. First of all, I want to live in this book cover. It just seems so warm and fantastical. There's a cat. Like, I would have everything I needed if I lived in this book cover. And again, I don't know much about this book other than I need to read it, and it is cozy fantasy. It is found family. I think there are adventures, but the stakes stay pretty low, and it's not a long fantasy. It's probably one of the only books on this list that isn't super, super chunky. But I'm excited to dive into this. It's actually going to be one of my very next reads, and I can't wait to just dive in for a cozy time. Another book I need to read for my Patreon, and we are very behind on this series, and that is nobody's fault but mine. A couple people might have kind of fallen off of the train because of my pacing issues, but that is the second book in the David Bad trilogy, which is Kingdom of Copper. My life got crazy busy back when we were supposed to be reading and discussing this, and I was not able to get to it, so we did bump the discussion back, and it made it a Discord discussion. So first week of December, we will be reading and discussing this book together, and I'm really excited. I loved the first book, especially the world building and just the way that the setting made you feel fully immersed in the story. It's very Egyptian and Middle Eastern inspired. We follow a very fun cast of characters. There's politics, there's love, maybe even a love triangle. There's amazing banter and dialogue. The magic is great. And I'm very excited to read and finish a series, because I don't know that I finished any series in 2024. that's something I need to look into, but can't wait to read this one as well. It wouldn't be on this list if I couldn't wait to read it. So go me for catching up on the books I need to catch up on. Another series that I would like to continue is the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. This is something I have been meaning to get to for forever. I adored the first book, one of the best romantasy books out there, if I'm being honest. And so I really need to get to the second one, which is Children of Fallen Gods. Fortunately, this is also available on Kindle because this book is heavy. And my Amazon copy is definitely a little damaged. It came to me like that. But, as I read them, I definitely want these books on my shelf because I love them that much. Serpent and the Wings of Night was fine. I'm fine just having those on my Kindle, but this trilogy is supreme. This book follows Tasana, who is a servant who is working so hard to be freed from her oppressors. And when she finally does get free, she realizes that, she might be free, but all of her friends and the people that she cares about are still enslaved. And so she goes to this place called the Towers to learn more about her power. She gets mentored by our very grumpy gardener, Max, and all sorts of magic ensues. There's some creepy stuff in this book. There's, someone living in your brain communicating with you and making you do things. And I can't wait to see where this trilogy goes. I think that the world is going to continue to grow. I think I gave the first book 5 stars, so I can't wait to continue in this trilogy. Carissa Broadbent has built up a completely immersive world here. I love the characters, I love the friendships, and I can't wait. Here's another series that I definitely want to finish soon. Let's talk about the smallest book on my list, probably, and that is Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. This is the 3rd book in the Love Light Farms trilogy. Love Light Farms was 5 stars. In the Weeds was 5 stars, and I just know I'm going to love the rest of the books in this series as well. I want to finish this quartet because then I'll be done with it. And BK Borison has 2 more series that are coming out in the next year. She's got her First Time Caller that's coming out, and then I think there's a Christmas rom-com and a holiday series that she's releasing. I could be wrong there, but I'm almost positive. But the way that these books make me feel is top tier. There are very few romance authors, and I could list them off right now if I wanted to, that give me the feelings that B.K. Borison does. It's like B.K. Borison, Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry, and Elsie Silver. They are elite. They are top tier. And so continuing on in this series is going to be good for my heart. Another romance series that I'm giving a try, because let me just admit I'm skeptical, is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. For the longest time, I was not interested in this series because it's about high schoolers. Guys, I am 35 years old. I teach junior high kids. And so getting on board with a book about high school kids is going to be hard for me to wrap my mind around. However, there are people my age that I know and trust. There are people older than me that I know and trust who have fallen head over heels for this series. I don't know very much about it other than Rugby, Johnny, Shannon, Tommen, and that the characters in here go through a lot and that it is slow burn. And if I end up loving it, I'm so excited. If I don't end up loving it, I'm going to be very happy that I gave it a chance, and I'm going to be happy to participate in the discussions that are constantly going on because this book has been around and people are still talking about it. So I hope I end up loving it. My coworker and I actually both bought matching copies of this, and we're going to kind of read it together. So again, hopefully I love it. All right, the rest of the books I either don't have yet or they are Kindle books. Let's start with one that I know I'm going to be getting a hard copy of, and that is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This is my friend Liv's book club pick over on her Patreon, Liv's Library, and this one is, I think, a rom-com mystery. It might not be a rom-com, but I think it is based on the cover. I don't know anything about this book except that there's a mystery, and I think it's a locked room mystery, and it takes place at Christmas time. Go Christmas. All right. I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. I am also going to be reading 2 books by the same author on my Kindle. I am going to be continuing in the Chestnut Springs series, and I think the next one that I have to read, hold please. Okay, the first book by Elsie Silver that I really want to read because I have fallen in love with her writing. The first Chestnut Springs book was a little much with some of the spice, but I can't stop thinking about her writing. And so I want to read, I think it's Heartless, the second book in the Chestnut Springs series. And this is Cade and Willa's book. And the reason that I want to go back to this is I just read the first book in the Rose Hill series, which follows Willa's brother. And this one is a single dad and nanny, except it's also Chestnut Springs. So it's farm. And like I said, I just can't stop thinking about it. And I really like having a Kindle book going. And these are they're long, but they're so easy to get through. And then obviously, because I loved Wild Love so much, which is the first book in the Rose Hill series, that I really want to get to Wild Eyes, which is the second book, which follows Ford's best friend, Knox, if I'm not mistaken, and then the singer that comes to record at the studio. So those are not cowboy romances, which I think a lot of people get confused about, but they are small town romances. And the first one, I can't stop thinking about it. And so I really, really, really want to get to the second book. They're so good. So that is 10 books, all sorts of different genres. Most of them are chunky, but I do have my Thanksgiving break this week, and then I have 2 weeks of Christmas where I tend to read a lot. I'm excited about a lot of the fantasy. I'm excited to give new authors a try, and I'm excited to settle in with some of my comfort read authors. What is on your 10 before the end? I would put Brandon Sanderson on this list because his book releases. It sure does. But realistically, I am not going to fit that into my 2024 TBR. So it's going to be one of the first things I read in 2025. But I know a lot of people probably have that on their books they want to read before the end of the year. I have got to do some catching up on Stormlight Archive, if I'm being honest. And so it is not realistic for me to expect to get to Stormlight 5. I have a lot of videos coming up soon with my end of the year thoughts and wrap ups and all of that end of the year content, and I can't wait to share it with you. But for right now, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for continuing to support me. You can find all of my social media in the links below, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye, guys.